You are listening to the Total Talk. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Total Talk. I should probably be welcoming myself back since I have been MIA for so long. I took some time off and I was able to travel, and I went across country and went to the West Coast and back, and what a truly incredible trip that was. I got to see so many different things, experience so many new places, and I got to see snow for the first time. Well, a lot of you know that I do have a book out on Amazon. It's called For the Record, F Fear. I wrote that book being very hopeful that more things would change for me. And they have, because I have been able to live by those key points that I made in that book. You can go ahead and view all the vlogs for the entire trip on YouTube right now at the V. Lewis Project. And make sure to check out the book on Amazon and on iBooks, both on digital and in print. In this episode, I give a friend a call who is out there doing her thing in Atlanta, Georgia. She is a wardrobe stylist, designer, entrepreneur. She was on House of DVF and now is killing it with a showroom and closet rental venture. Check it out. Here's my call with Abs Petit. Okay, so Abs, welcome to the Total Talk.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. So Abs, so before this, we were just kind of casually catching up, and we haven't spoken. How long it's been?
Good 2, 3 years, which is sad to say out loud. Jesus.
God, yeah. I guess it has been that long. Yeah, so we were just kind of catching up casually and all that good stuff. But first thing I do want to share with everyone listening is kind of like how we met. I don't know if you remember, Abs.
I remember like it happened yesterday. I used to see that work, like literally I'd see it. And I remember I used to kind of cyber stalk Jonathan, because Jonathan was like photo editorial goals for me. On Model Mayhem. And then I think we met during this taping, because there was this reality show that came to Orlando. What was it called? Model something.
Oh,
it was like an agency show.
Yeah, with Emerge, right?
Yes. And you were there. And then I ran into you guys and I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are there. Y'all was deep too. It was you, it was John, it was your style team. I think there was like a makeup artist there. I was like, oh goodness. And then a couple months had went by and I think you guys were shooting something and you was like, hey, would you like to shoot blah, blah, blah? And you sent me like a mood board, and something really bad ended up happening that night where I couldn't make it. I felt so bad. And I was like, I have to, as an act of good faith, like I have to like reach out and do a project with Vic and John. So yes, I do have an idea. I can recollect how we met.
That is funny. I just now thinking about it.
We had a formal meeting.
See, because I remember someone brought your name up, and I was like, I don't think I've met her. And I remember seeing you at the Emerge event, or it was some type of reality show that was I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Something agency. The agency? No.
Yeah, it was a model. Yeah. The agency. I think that was what it was. And it was a bald guy who was like the host. And he was kind of just like cleaning up shop, with these agencies, failing agencies.
It was with Paul Fisher, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I
something. So. Yeah.
It was on the CW.
CW. Yeah, because I remember that happening, and then I remember you walking in to Fashion Lounge because we were hosting an event in Orlando with this gallery, and it was called Fashion Lounge, and we would get together and do all these fashion events and talk about designers. And it was,
I remember that.
Oh yeah. And then Yeah, but because you came in and I remember you walking in and you had like long hair, you had this hat on, you had on white, and I said, "Who is this girl?" And I really did, and I was like, who is she? And because instantly I knew that you knew fashion because you could just tell. Okay, so for you guys listening, if you don't know Abs, you will see her on the street and you will be like, oh my God, who is she? You just like, you have to know her, especially with your signature hair that you had back way back. I don't know if you still have it.
Wait, was it the afro?
Yes.
The afro?
Yeah. Man, people used to stop her everywhere. But I remember that happening. That's what I was thinking about as I was walking. Somebody was showing me something, and then I remember you walking through the door, and I'm like, is that girl that y'all were talking about? And yeah. So then from there is when I was like, okay. And then I was looking at your work and I was like, wow, she's really good. And then I remember you reaching out, and then it just kind of turned into something that we were working on a project for the Fusion Report. And then that's when I think that was the first time we worked together. And I was like, how in the hell did I not work with her before?
Right. And then you were just like, I think I remember it was with Katrina was the model. Shout out to Katrina. Or Katerina, I think she liked to be called. But it was like a black and white mood board. And we were doing black and white for the beginning of the year because it was like January issue. And it was so fun. I had so much fun. Oh my goodness. And it came out phenomenal.
But do you remember that I sent out the email and I was like, you can't talk about this. And it was like a secret.
Yeah, it was. Oh, because you had this crazy like marketing campaign where it was like a mum's the word type of thing. And then you would like leave like hashtags and people were like, oh, what is it? And it turned out to be like a newspaper. I remember it was shrouded in secrecy. Oh my goodness. But it was fun.
It's funny because I made everyone sign like an NDA form and everything. You can't talk about it. This is what we're doing. And then we had
Victor the extra. Everything he does is extra.
Well, I wanted to build anticipation and that mystery, and which was it did, because it was funny because I was at an art gallery, I think maybe a month after the Fusion Report launched, and who was it? Holly from Snap Orlando.
Oh yeah.
She came up to me and she's like, "Oh, there's this really great newspaper in town, and it's fantastic, and they market it this way." And she was telling me like basically all about the newspaper, but
your stuff.
Exactly. But at the time I couldn't tell her, and so then towards the end of the conversation, I was like, okay, it's me. I was like, we did it. But it was nice to see it come full circle and people still not know exactly who was behind it or what happened. And so that was kind of cool because it was almost like we had a different voice,
Right.
So that's how we met. That's how we first started working together.
A bit long-winded, but yeah, that's how we met. So it was a process.
It was. But and then Abs has been doing styling for numerous people, right? Clients.
Yeah. I kind of tapped into my Haitian roots for a while when I moved to Miami. So I was doing like majority of my clients were Haitian artists, and so like just the top names within that industry. Then I started working with a phenomenal, brilliant photographer by the name of Xavier D'Angelo. Shout out to Zay. And we created some really dope things together. Met a really good friend of mine, Diana Sesteban. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. It's all love. We created a few images together. Cody McGibbon. I was so grateful for when I made the decision to move to Miami. I ran into just amazing artists, and it helped my book. It transformed my portfolio. It was a step that I had to take. Miami was like, 4 hours away from home. So it wasn't, a really big move. So once I started freaking out or panicking, I could always go back to mom and dad. But it was good. It was a stepping stone for where I am now, which is in Atlanta. I slowly integrated myself into Atlanta. I didn't let everyone know that I was going to Atlanta, but Atlanta was imperative for me because I wanted to get into film. It was a long time dream of mine to transition over from just fashion and going into film. So like costume designer or costume supervisor. And Atlanta was a great place to do that. So even if I wanted to go even further and go to LA, I think Atlanta is a very good, just basic training. So yeah, right now I'm working on a Marvel movie. Of course, I can't really say what it is, but I work in the costumes department, which is good. I know we were talking earlier about, taking baby steps and learning all over again. And that's something that I had to do with this new pursuit in film. So starting off as, a costumes PA and just seeing how things are done in the back end. So I know what it's like to put looks together and, pull and create inventory, but I've never seen, like the operations. So, dealing with receipts and turning it into accounting and making sure everything is accounted for and just all the tedious, just grunt work that is associated with, the creative I'm getting, because I've always been, key wardrobe or the person that is just like the head wardrobe person. But now I get to kind of, shadow right now. So I got to work my first project, which is Uncle Drew is coming out next summer, June 19th, I believe. And that is with Kyrie Irving and Shaquille O'Neal. I got to work with the legendary Miss Janetta Boone, who worked on For Colored Girls. It was a very great honor that she even took a chance on me. But it's actually a very interesting story on how I got that gig. Did you want to actually hear the story? So when I first got to Atlanta, I applied for a casting agency just to make some extra money while I was trying to just figure out what I'm going to do. And I did it the first day I landed in Atlanta. Then I kind of started doing my own thing. And then 3 months into it, I get a call or a text rather. Hey, are you available for 9 days shooting this movie? And I was just like, yeah, sure. Why not? Making extra money. So I go, and it's a lot of people there. So I was cast as background extra, and every day it was fun. And then every day I would see the same woman out on set. And I was just like, that is a costume designer. I know that's her. She has the look. She has the presence. I know that's her. So every day I'd watch her and I'd see how she delegate, to the costumers and things like that. And I just made a lot of friends. And I made a friend who happened to be the exec, basically the boss of the whole entire project, Mr. Marty Bowen. Okay, you probably know Marty as the guy who kind of started the Twilight, the Twilight franchise. And I got, we got really cool. Every day I'd see him, we cracked jokes. And one day I asked him, I was like, Marty, I need your advice. He was like, what's up? And I was just like, how do I get to work in the costumes department? He was like, just ask, find out who it is, and just ask, just take the shot. And I was just like, that's it. And he's like, yeah, why not? I was like, okay, cool. So it was around the 5th or 6th, probably the 7th day, because I waited a while before speaking up, that's actually one of the morals of this story is always speaking up. Had I known what I know now, I probably would have within the 3rd day approached a costume designer, asked her for a job. But basically I stepped to her probably on the 8th day. I was like, listen, I want to talk to you. 7th day, I'm sorry. I want to speak to you about getting into working for you. She was like, okay, stop by my trailer. I was like, okay, all right, sure. So the very next day comes by, and I think that's the 8th day, and I didn't get to speak to her because something had happened with extras and holding, and so. Or I believe that was the 7th day. That doesn't matter. But I made it the very next day after that, after I missed the initial meeting, and I just wolfed down my food and I just ran to her trailer. I was like, listen, I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this. I'm a very hard worker. I have integrity. I want to work for you. This is what I've done. The last gig that I actually was doing was Cirque du Soleil, thank God. And I went into detail about what I did for there. And she was just like, okay, well, we do have a PA that's not going to be available tomorrow. Would you like to start? I was just like, what? She was like, yeah, come in. And we'll just have you like file paperwork, tonight. And then you can start tomorrow. And then it was like, oh my God. And she was like, but you're going to have to ask, the guy who's on set, if you're in any of the shots where you need to actually be for continuity purposes. I ran from her trailer, tracked down the guy, like, listen, I think his name was Fred. I was like, Fred, I need not to work anymore. I want to work for the costuming department. Would you let me? Am I in any of the shots? He was like, you know what? Sure. You're fine. I was like, are you serious? He was like, no, fine. You're cool. Yeah. You don't have to, work tomorrow. I was like, that is phenomenal. So ran back to her trailer. I was like, I got the green light. She was like, great. So see you tomorrow. I literally ran out her trailer screaming. I was just like, oh my God.
Oh my God. Now, what type of hair did you have?
Actually, funny enough, my hair was curly.
Okay.
But it was like a loose curl, but it wasn't like an afro or anything. But yeah, it's funny how it happened. Everyone who was casting crew, or majority of the people that I got in contact with on a day-to-day basis, was just like, yo, are you serious? Did you really just get bumped up to just like working on crew? And I'm just like, yeah, like you just gotta take it. And then just at that moment, I was just like, damn, I should have just took it. But, everything happens for a reason. And now, whenever I feel the urge to do anything, I'm just going to take it.
Yeah.
Like, what was the worst thing that could happen? Just not getting it? Okay, fine. You didn't have it before. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? So,
seriously. Yeah.
That's how.
No, that's incredible. And I think that story definitely shows the persistent, and then knowing you, I know that, when you want something, you're like, look, this is happening. This is what I want, and you really do go for it. To kind of backtrack a little bit, because it kind of sounds like a lot of your
has happened.
You going for things, and kind of like a lot of like what you were moving to Atlanta, moving to Miami, and doing all that was kind of after the show. So how did you feel after the show? And what was your internal monologue to kind of, kick yourself and kind of keep that fire going?
Oh, well, after House of DVF, I was just literally in a cloud of doubt, like I should have done this, or maybe if I said this, or maybe if I styled this way, or, maybe I should have spoken up. I had all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas just floating around. And I noticed that I wasn't living in the moment. I wasn't present. So even if I did have something that will make up for that disappointment, I'd totally be losing out on it, because I was so obsessed with all the things that didn't work out that led me to not be part of House of DVF anymore. And I continued on, continue to, build my book. I started thrifting more seriously. Thrifting, if anyone knows me, that is like that's my crack cocaine. Like whenever I need to like relieve stress or I'm upset, I just go thrifting, because in the midst of me finding something, looking for something, I always end up finding a piece of myself. So, whether it be like a fully sequined gown or just like this obnoxious fur, which, by the way, I found this vintage fur, and I thought nothing of it. I was like, oh, this is a nice fur. It had black and white faces painted all over it. It came out, I think, in the early 80s. Turns out Rihanna was photographed in the same exact coat. So it was sitting in I'm so serious. I even have the photo to prove it. Rihanna had the same exact coat. She was photographed by the paparazzi plenty of times with this coat. So I now had so much inventory from me actually styling shoots things that I couldn't return or things that I actually couldn't part with. It was just sitting there. So the coat was actually one of those things. And I ended up selling the coat. I ended up selling it for a very good amount. And that's when I was like, okay, this might be something. So it helped me kind of just get out of that rut of, okay, I didn't get what I was vying for with, House of DVF. This might be something that I am good with, besides other things that I'm, good at. So, started that. And at that time I called it was like my new project child called Rare Style Closet. And Rare Style Closet just consisted of pretty much any of the remnants that were from shoots that I was doing in Miami. So Rare Style Closet started growing a lot. And so I was just like, okay, well, I could start renting this out. So now I had friends and past clients who would come to me and like, listen, I have an event. Do you have anything in Rare Style Closet that I can wear? And I was just like, yes, actually I do. And when I wasn't doing that, if I was traveling, I was thrifting. I was looking for the next thing. I was looking for this texture. I was looking for this color. It just became just like, oh, wow, it's another facet of like just my style. So, that's where I was at and now at now, as far as when it comes to, House of DVF,
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
So it pushed me to, I released something, I didn't get something, but I was rewarded with something that I know is a part of me and that I know that no one can take away from me. So.
Exactly. And I've been kind of not necessarily doing the same thing, but I got into thrifting pretty intensely as well. Like I was able to, I had, we were doing photo shoots and when you do photo shoots, you have a lot of clothes that are left over and you're like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
So I had things that were size small and, I'm clearly not a size small. So I was like, what am I going to do with it? There's only so many times I can use it in a photo shoot or when we do a model.
Right.
So I said, okay, you know what? We photographed this enough. What can I do with it? And so that's when I was like, okay, kind of like researching different things. But I'm sure you've heard of it, but I started Poshmark like a little bit ago, or maybe, I don't know if it was a year ago or a few months ago. I don't know. But I started it because my cousin actually does like Amazon and she's making like a killing off of Amazon. And she was, we were going to Goodwill and we were just going to different thrift stores here in Orlando in a park area. And I just started seeing money coming in from her. And I'm like, what is going on? What are you doing? And she's like, I'm just reselling things that people don't like. And I photograph it and I make it look better and people like it. And I'm like, this is crazy. So then I kind of started picking the same things. And I was like, you know what? I have all these clothes left over from photo shoots. And things were just kind of flying off. And I was like, there goes the blazer that I haven't used in, 2-3 years. Shoes, boots, everything. So it was, so then you develop that. I mean, you've had that passion, but for me, it was kind of like something new. Like, oh, I really enjoy thrifting, but I didn't think I could flip it as easily as I was doing it.
Right. Yeah. Thrifting is, and I've always been just conscious about just like just waste. Like the things that we, we'll buy like a t-shirt for like, $6 at Forever 21 or how much they sell t-shirts at Forever 21. Random hoodie that you got on a cold night because you didn't have anything, but you threw it in the back of your closet. I always try to repurpose things. That actually just came from just like my upbringing as far as like my parents, but it kind of integrated itself within just, my love for fashion and style. So if something, no longer serves its purpose, it's not serving its purpose with me, but that doesn't mean that it's the end. There's someone else who would really appreciate that feathered duster, jacket, and they'll value it. It'll be something probably that could be a piece for them, what's that thing that people do at the beginning of the year all the time?
Taxes?
It's not a resolution.
Oh, no. I was like, taxes?
It's a vision board, right? I probably have that bomber jacket just sitting there, you know? And so, of course, I'm not going to like sell it for the price that, you know, that jacket was, but, you know, it'll be a price where she can actually afford it. And she'll have that prize jacket that she had on her vision board. But that's actually one of the things that P67, which is my online vintage boutique, focuses on. Basically just reusing just really lovely clothes, nice pieces. I refer to them as pieces because that's what they are. We don't really have like basics. Majority of our inventory is like one of one. They're basically things that it's some of the things I have in photographs. It's nothing that, you know, I have in my closet. It's basically things that I find on my trips. So recently, in May, I went to London, got a few vintage items from there. Recently came back from New York, got some vintage items from there. So these things are like all over. These are little pieces that I find, and that's what makes up the inventory. And I just want to just highlight the fact that there's just so much waste. Especially with like, you know, this climate in fast fashion, which, you know, I'm not trying to knock anyone's hustle, but I feel like there's a way to be more responsible and still, you know, be able to make money. But the turnaround time, you know, with clothing is just, you know, there's plenty of research and articles to let you know if you are interested in reading about that. But if you follow the Business of Fashion, which is my go-to, businessoffashion.com, it tells you, you know, it lets you know, like, this is how much goes into making these jeans that you're buying for, you know, $39.99. You know, the merchant ordered like 50,000 of them and probably only sold, I don't know, like 20 or 10K, and the jeans are just sitting there. And I feel like you don't really have to throw things away, or you don't have to always buy new things. There's beauty in these vintage stores. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I was just in San Francisco, and we went to, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's Haight and Ashbury. I don't know if you've been to San Francisco.
No, I have not yet.
It's, well, first of all, San Francisco is amazing, but the Haight and Ashbury shopping area is incredible because it's all old, restored vintage shops that kind of make up like old San Francisco. So you have a lot of vintage, you have a lot of repurposed items. It's incredible. And so I was there and looking through all these different things, and I said, wow, like the amount of history that is in some of these pieces. And you know how anybody that's in fashion, I think we all kind of feel the same as far as like when somebody wears something, there's an energy behind that, you know? Like if you look at, like, as an example, if you take a jacket that belonged to Michael Jackson and it was, you know, for one of his concerts, like it's almost like you're going to be able to feel that energy when you put that jacket on. There's that, like,
yeah.
And so when we were in these stores and they were like 1920s and 1930s authentic, you couldn't even touch them.
Yeah, you're afraid to touch them, actually.
Yeah, because
the amount of detail that goes into these things, you know. And at one point, these things were just a fortune, like,
right.
And being able to even be near it, and you know, it's, usually those things are like a couple of hundred, sometimes $1,000, but in the thousands. But you know, at one point, it was just like you couldn't even think of having that, you know. So it's good to be able to, you know, have it in your possession and be like, hey, you know, Michael Jackson did wear this and now I have it.
Yeah, and it's almost like a well, funny thing Oprah said, and I live by Oprah, so just a warning. She said something about receiving a gift or giving a gift. You know, she says that there's a lot of times that she'll re-gift something. And it's not because she's cheap or she doesn't have money, obviously. But it's because there's an energy that is transferred with the gift. So if there's positive energy with the gift and something that brought a lot of love to her, when she passes it
Mm-hmm.
down, she almost feels like I'm giving them double the amount of love. And now it's, you know, it's almost like the energy transformed. And now somebody else can kind of enjoy that piece and then maybe pass it
Right.
down later on. So it's like the idea of that. I really, for me, it's kind of like whenever I do my Poshmark, I'm like, you know what, this is kind of cool. Like somebody gets to have a piece from my closet or
Right.
a piece that we did a photo shoot in San Francisco. We did a photo shoot in LA, you know, so they'll be able to kind of like, wow, like this is, I don't know if they think about that, but I guess it's just kind of, you know, the goofball in me that does, but it's cool. Like you, when you think about clothing
Right.
that way, and I feel like with you doing this P67, you're also in a way preserving the history and the energy and the memories that were once made to that, you know, and somebody's going to be able to purchase it. But yeah.
Yeah, that concept. It is true. Energy is transferred. It doesn't just disappear.
Yeah.
So that may have some validity to it.
So when does P67 launch?
P67 launches scheduled to launch. Scheduled to launch December 1st. With any luck, I might release it earlier on an undisclosed date. So I will be, you know, dropping hints, or I'll actually, you know, be on Instagram. It will be in my Insta story, just letting people know, hey, the site is up. Because when people see it, you'll see something that you like. So it's like you might see something or someone might buy something. You'd be like, oh my God, that's dope. And he's like, where'd you get it? P67. Now, if you don't follow me on Instagram, which is Abs Petit, ABSPETIT, you'll actually get, you know, you'll get first dibs and, you know, not having to wait for the December 1st like everyone else. To see if, you know, you find that blazer or that cardigan or that sequin skirt dress, which I'm very excited. I not only, you know, carry women's items, I will be carrying men's too. I'm in partnership with a boutique here in Atlanta that has amazing things like Danak and Raf Simmons. A really good friend of mine owns this boutique and just really dope things for the guys. And I'll also be carrying plus sizes as well. So I'm super excited about that because one of the things that I noticed in my DMs is that everyone asks me like, oh yeah, I know that, you know, you have a boutique, but will you have plus sizes or, you know, is it just for the small girls? And I was just like, you know what? It's an underserved community of people, you know, like they're fashionable too. You know, they put their feet in their pants one leg at a time like everybody else. And I feel like, you know, if I do run into something, you know, and it happens to be plus size, it will be in the store. Now, I don't like the idea of purchasing items just for the sake of saying that it's plus size. I feel like if I'm going to shop, you know, men, women at a certain aesthetic, that's going to apply for, you know, plus sizes too. So it may seem times where it seems like, oh, you know, there's nothing here, but that's probably because I haven't found anything that I feel is worthy enough, you know, to be put in the store, even though it is plus size.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. What, so when people come to your website, the P67, is it P67.com or what is it?
It's P67 Showroom.com. Because it acts as not only a store, but it is a showroom for artists like you and I. So if there is a production, there'll be a link that says Studio Services where you'll able to click that link and put in all your information, include like a mood board, tell us a little bit about who you are. We'll do our research, you know, and if it goes, you know, with the brand and we feel like it speaks to our brand, we'll reach out to you and let you know that we would like to collaborate. So, you know, our stylist will be able to pull from the site as well. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about.
No, that's awesome. So you're serving the consumer as well as the creative community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because what I ran into, especially when I first started styling, I didn't know where to pull. You know, you have to have a certain pedigree or just know certain people to let you, you know, hold items for a shoot. And it was just difficult. And that's actually why I started, you know, thrifting in the first place, because it's just like, okay, I have this small budget. I have to make it work. So I was like, you know what? I want to pass this on. I want to pay it forward, and support those who do have the eye for fashion, and be just like a resource and a tool for them to actually come and just put looks together. And in turn, we'll be using those images on the site as well as part of our blog. So we get to highlight these artists who put these these editorials together.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because that makes it a lot easier for, people like us too, or like me, like you said, that wants to pull from a closet that they can trust. And I know,
right.
And I know you have amazing taste. That's not a question.
Right. I'm really excited about that.
So I just kind of want to touch base on what we were chatting about a little bit earlier, before we started recording, about being kind of like a student again. So do you have any advice for that, or somebody that might be going through that?
I know it sounds, good to hear, but it's the truth. There is beauty in the struggle. There's so much beauty in the struggle. The struggle is, how do I put this? The struggle is like the robots off Westworld, right? For those of you who don't watch Westworld, Westworld is basically just a fictional place, for the elite, where they can come. It's like their Disney World. They can live out their sick fantasies. They can kill people, do whatever they want. And, the things that are there, they look like people, but they're really machines. They look like people on the outside. They can be beautiful, long gold locks, beautiful brown eyes, full lips. But underneath, there's all these little tiny little wires and little things that, these little widgets and things that spin to make the robot do what it does. And the struggle is the widget. It's the little wires, the little strings, the motherboard, or whatever term you want to use. It's important for you to go through it. It's important because it's going to make up who you are. You need the struggle. The struggle is beautiful. The struggle is just like the pressure, that makes a diamond. You need that. In a sewing machine, you have tension on a sewing machine. So when you put the pressure foot down to sew across denim is a little bit thicker than silk. So you might have to raise your tension, when it comes to silk, because it's much looser. So you have to make sure that your stitches are laying flat. And when it comes to denim, because it's thicker, you have to lower the tension a little bit so it is not tight and pulling. So that's the advice that I would give to someone, is you have to go through the struggle. Like it's beautiful, and it makes you present, especially when you've gotten to a place where you feel comfortable, or you feel like you've made it, or it was a goal that you've accomplished. You look back, and when you look back, you don't look at that struggle like the ugly monster that you thought it was. You look at that struggle with such just in awe. That struggle is the most beautiful thing to you, because it's like, yo, I remember I was sleeping in my freaking car. I was sleeping in my car, going, doing this and doing that. Or, man, I was eating ramen noodles, man, for like a whole 2 months when I was shooting this, blah, blah, blah. You look at it like, wow, like, I went through you. Like, I've been through you, and now I'm here. You're so thankful for it. You don't say it outright. It's not something that's at the forefront of your brain, but you look at it with just so much respect. And that's the only thing that I would say is just embrace the struggle, because you're going to look back one day and just going to be like, man, I was stressing about this. And look where I'm at. Look where I'm at. I went through that just to look at this. This is what I built. This is what I'm doing now. So
yeah,
that's what I would say.
No, that's amazing. And you're incredible, because I can see that in you, and I can see that in me when you're talking about it. I'm like, wow, yeah. Because I feel the same way. Like, I went through a lot, and then now it's kind of like, it's like a 10-year hustle. And now I'm on the other end of, some light,
Exactly.
So, all right. So that's P67Showroom.com. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And even if you forget that, it's actually on my site. So if you go on abspetit.com, once you get on that landing page, it'll say portfolio or shop store. And all you have to do is just click that shop store and it'll take you directly to P67.
All right. And where can someone follow you?
On all social media, it is Abs Petit. So just Abs Petit on everything. Abs Petit on Instagram. I don't do Twitter. I have my real deep hatred for Twitter. But Facebook, Abs Petit Wardrobe Stylist, just to keep up with what I'm doing, what set I'm on or what I'm working on. But I mainly speak through, to my followers on Instagram. So shoot me a DM. I don't bite, unless that's what you're into. But yeah, Abs Petit.
Thank you again for tuning in, especially if you made it to the end of this episode. Your support means a lot to me. Don't forget to check out Abs Petit and P67 Showroom, which opens up soon, I believe either this week or next, so be out on the lookout for that. And make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a lot of content in the works that range from fashion to personal styling and more behind the scenes of photo shoots, of my creative projects, and a little bit of my creative chaos, which is what I live in. So find me at The V. Lewis Project on all social media platforms. And please remember, stay true to yourself and let your truth be heard.